And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
All right, welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show. Our goal is to help you win as your number one consumer advocate. I just love it every day. I'm getting phone calls from listeners and viewers of our TV show wanting to get hooked up with our 80-plus show partners, 80-plus categories of life-changing advice and ideas to help you avoid a lot of the commission-based advice that's so prevalent out there in our community. And we do a lot of good things here in the community as well. We have a TV show, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Sony TV, and 85 other outlets. And we also are a consumer advocate right here, 4 o'clock drive time on AM 860 The Answer. We've got a weekend show on FM 1025 The Bone as well. And we love our veterans around here. I'll tell you that. We're going to bat for the wounded warriors here. We got an event coming up. Save the date for this and come out and support the veterans in the Tampa Bay community. The proceeds are going to the wounded warriors. So we're hosting an event with Ken Shamrock and Antonio Tarver right here in Tampa. So 2 world champion fighters, one in the boxing world, one in the UFC Hall of Fame as well, at Florida Firearms Academy, January 8th. That's a Wednesday, 7 p.m. Come on out. Register at eventbrite.com. We got general admission tickets for $15, VIP tickets $50. You get a meet and greet as well, and 1 item signed, food and drink included with that. And big shout out to Thomas King and the folks over at Florida Firearms Academy for hosting the event. And it's going to be an awesome time. We're going to have business networking there, and it's going to be a time to meet and greet Ken Shamrock, UFC Hall of Famer, WWF legend, and 5-time world champion boxer Antonio Tarver here as well, put on and hosted by the Consumer Quarterback Show. It's going to be a live event. We're doing a live radio and TV show broadcast as well, so it's going to be a lot of energy in the building and a lot of fun. Come on out and support the Wounded Warriors, and that's Wednesday, January 8th, 7 p.m. Check out the tickets on eventbrite.com. Intelligent Talk Radio. I've got some intelligent folks here in studio with me. Doug Levi back in studio. Welcome in, sir.
Brandon, always good to see you, man. Doug Levi, Strategic Insurance, and we're here to help you win in your insurance world.
Yeah.
So.
I like that. He's an author as well, Surviving the Insurance Jungle.
That's right, yeah. So Surviving the Insurance Jungle, we just updated that, and it's out on Amazon and Kindle and all that good stuff. And we do a kind of a real how-to on all your insurance decisions, try and make it really easy for the consumers out there so that they can get the best coverage and best rates possible. And we love helping people save money, so...
Absolutely, man. That's what it's all about. Understanding, making just a bit more street smart here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Mary Surnicki, welcome back.
Hi, great to be back.
Suncoast Roofing in the house.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to share some tips with us for going into January and before the storms come and stuff like that, to what to look for. And can't wait to be a part of the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. And, a lot of bad contractors out there, you know, what to look for. We've seen it. We've talked about it on the show. And that's a big part of the consumer advocate approach to the Consumer Quarterback Show.
Absolutely.
And save our hotline number in your phone. At some point, you may need it. Give us a call. And I would say just dial the number, hit send, and then hit end, and then save the number in your phone. Add it to your call log because you're going to need us at some point. 813-670-7372.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
And we love it when the hotline blings here at the Consumer Quarterback Show. 813-670-7372. And also hit us up on the web, consumerqb.com. You can find links there to all of our expert contributors. There's an email function that will come directly through to myself and my team. And we're going to make sure we get back to you before our head hits the pillow. That is our promise to you. And this segment is brought to you by Infinity Medical Institute right here in Tampa. Over 40,000 patients successfully treated with bio-natural hormone replacement therapy. They also have the pellet therapy here in Tampa Bay. They're on West Shore Boulevard, just south of the International Plaza Mall, just north of the West Shore Mall. And they're right in Tampa, right down the road from Salem Communications, Salem Media Group here. And Infinity Medical Institute. You can find them online, infinitymedicalinstitute.com. Let Mike and Kat know that the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Take them up on special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. And we got a great lineup for you today here. We're going to talk about some things that are going to affect you in your business life. And we've got over 80 categories of consumer advocate content, plus a feel-good story of the day. We got malls in the United States that are opening up early so kids with autism can visit Santa in a calm environment. So that's a pretty cool story coming at you here. In our lightning round, in our feel good segment of the show. So as you know, I'm a top realtor in the area and a top 1% realtor in the United States. And my wife and I own the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. So one of the things we do to help our sellers profit more and get more exposure for their real estate properties is we feature them live on air on our daily syndicated show. So it's a very unique opportunity here where if you list with us, we're going to help you win. So 5822 Schooner Way in Tampa. This is one of our featured properties of the week. Now it's featured because it's a beautiful home, 2-story, completely remodeled, got a huge lanai, pool-covered lanai with pavers, direct access into the bay, and it's only 5 minutes from the airport. So it's featured for that reason, but also we did a price reduction, $15,000 price reduction on this property at $599,000 is the current ask price for Schooner Way. Now, this property has direct access out into the bay, upper Tampa Bay. Beautiful property, 5822 Schooner Way in Tampa. Check out all of our real estate properties at PlatinumMVPTeam.com. All right, let's jump into it. We got Doug Levi in the house, Strategic Insurance. Lots of different questions, misnomers around insurance.
Absolutely, yeah. So for today, I got a couple good things to share with the listeners out there. One I want to share, especially because it's this time of year, is jewelry, right? So this is a time of year, and around Valentine's Day, tend to be times where people are buying a lot of jewelry for their loved ones. And do you know how is it insured, right? So most homeowners policies put limits on your jewelry to $2,500 with regards to theft. So if you go buy your girlfriend, spouse, fiance, whoever it may be, loved one, a nice piece of jewelry, you want to make sure it's properly insured. And so there's a couple of things you can do. You can either add it on to your homeowner's insurance as a rider, or sometimes the better route is to take out a separate policy, and they're called personal articles floaters. We highly recommend them. They're normally very cost affordable. The listeners can come check us out at tampabayinsurance.com or reach out to you, and we're certainly happy to help them with that. And because that's a big one. We've had clients in the past before they came to us who've had jewelry stolen and found out it was not covered, and that's never a fun day, Brandon. Yeah. So
no, it's a challenge. And then they find out also, even on, I had a friend of mine or someone close to me, they had certain items stolen that they used for work. Yeah. And they're like, oh, well, my deductible's $800 or $1,000 already. So that's another game within the game.
There's no doubt. And it's a great point too, because you're still subject to your deductible a lot of times. Again, it depends on really kind of the specifics on your homeowner's policy in general. And a lot of people, we've got over 5,000 policyholders at our agency, and most of the homeowners policies don't have specific riders for their jewelry. Again, a lot of times they just don't automatically do it. So we really recommend, if it's something that you've got, to schedule it out separately. In general, I tell people up to maybe $10,000 to $15,000 in jewelry, you're looking at maybe a couple $100 a year. And that's often a separate policy that stands alone and has no deductible associated with it. And the other big thing, and kind of to your point, the game within the game, if you have a claim on your jewelry, now it doesn't affect your homeowner's insurance, right? Because it's a separate policy. So you've isolated that risk, right? And the marketplace is so challenging. Rates in Florida are the highest in the country. Wow. And obviously the less claims you've got in general, the better rate you're going to get. So definitely a good idea. The other thing to add to that, you can schedule things like fine arts, antiques, collectibles, guns. So maybe you get a nice gun for Christmas, again, for yourself or for a loved one. Really a good idea to just kind of look at those items. And I kind of big picture and I say, what items do you have that are unique and high value, right? Yeah. Think about that, like unique and high value. And, chances are there's probably a lot of listeners, if they really think about it, they're like, oh man, there's probably some things that you've got that would really be better scheduled on a small policy, have a small fee for it, but no, it's got the right coverage. You're not going to have this challenge in the event of a claim. And so we definitely recommend that.
Now, Doug, so we're talking with Doug Levi here, Strategic Insurance. on the Consumer Quarterback Show. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. Now, Doug, when we talk about these different policies, it's important to understand, wind, flood, water caused it. There's different policies there. But I want to go back to initial question of the highest rates in the United States. Florida has the highest insurance rates.
You look across the country, absolutely. We've got the highest rates in the country.
What's the cause of that?
Hurricanes, probably the biggest, and specifically you look in our area too, outside of hurricanes, which, the whole state faces. And historically speaking, Florida's faced more hurricanes than any other state in the country, going, if we look over the last 100 years.
Right.
So you kind of have that risk that's always there. And then in our area too, sinkholes big. I mean, sinkholes one that's driven rates up. Unfortunately too, our state faces a lot of fraud. There's a ton of insurance fraud that occurs. Maybe a conversation for another day. There's something called assignment of benefit. We've talked about it in the past on the show a little bit, but bottom line, they just boil it down. There's a lot of fraud that occurs out there, and that kind of costs the consumer. That costs everyone at the end of the day. The average rate, the last we looked, and it's pretty true even in our agency, average rate in Florida is about $2,200, right? And obviously it's going to be based on, how big your home is and how much coverage you need. But when you kind of compare that to the rest of the country, that's quite high.
Yeah,
if I live in Kansas, I may pay $800 a year for my homeowner's insurance.
That's a great point, Doug. You make, there's a lot of great people that move down here. Let me preface the statement with that. But there's a lot of shysters too. And they come down here. They move from, don't want to call out, the Northeast, the Midwest, wherever they come from. And they come down to Florida. They're like, oh, I'm going to get a new start. I'm going to, why not come to the tropical climates, right?
Yeah, so it's a big issue, man.
So it's important.
And we see it kind of, what's interesting too is we almost see it go around the state. And what I mean by this, historically, South Florida has been a really big area for insurance fraud. Years ago, PIP fraud on auto insurance, Dade County, there you go, baby. PIP fraud, which is on your auto insurance, was a big thing, and then assignment of benefit and all this stuff. But what's interesting is you'll kind of see there'll be a territory that's really got a lot of fraud going on, and then that'll kind of slow down, and maybe it moves to Jacksonville, or maybe it moves to Orlando, or then it kind of comes over to Tampa. And again, at the end of the day, insurance is the whole concept of insurance is a pooled risk, right? It's the law of large numbers. We kind of all go in together. And so all of those factors go into what our rates are going to be ultimately. Yeah. So, it's, we're in an interesting state. Whenever something crazy goes on in the world, it's normally Florida, right? I laugh. Sure. I see the news and it's like, oh, that was Florida. Yeah, of course. So, anyway. But we're here to educate. We're here to basically do our best. We work with over 18 insurance companies on homeowners. We have 7 on auto. So our goal every year is to help you win, find you best coverage, best rates out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So if you want to save some money here, we're going to put you in touch with Doug Levi, Strategic Insurance. The URL is awesome if you're driving. You can't remember much. It's TampaBayInsurance.com. TampaBayInsurance.com. Now, text review, though. If you want to just pull out your smartphone, simply text the word review, insurance review, or text insurance to 813-670-7372. That's what makes this show different. We're doing these call to actions because we want you to save money. We want you to live a better life. We want you to buy more Christmas presents, holiday presents for your family, or however you translate that savings. But we've seen Doug save a lot of people a lot of money because Florida has the highest insurance rates in the great country that we live in here, the United States of America. And text review to 813-670-7372. We're going to put you directly in contact with Doug Levi and his team. And all you have to do is simply text our hotline, 813-670-7372. Got a couple coming in already. So, we're going to help you with that. When we come back, more from our expert contributors here in studio. Mary Surnicki's in the house, Suncoast Roofing, and our feel-good story of the day coming up as well. These malls in the United States that are opening up early so kids with autism can visit Santa in a calm environment. Find out about that and more from our experts here. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. For more information, go to consumerqb.com.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com.
Hey, Brandon Rhymes here, host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, wishing you a very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season here from all of us at the Consumer Quarterback Show and the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. Reminding you, if you're buying, selling, or investing, we would love to talk to you. Reach out at platinummvpteam.com or give us a call at 813-670-7372, 670-7372, consumerqb.com.
Listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Consumer Quarterback Show, helping you win, helping you save money, helping you as your consumer advocate here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Of course, real estate, credit, finance, estate and tax planning, 80 different categories of consumer advocate advice. Lots of great home services here. You're going to hear from Mary Surnicki in a moment with Suncoast Roofing, talking about those different things happening in that industry. You know, the fraud that happens with contractors, the assignment of benefits, which we'll touch on as well. We got Doug Levi in the house as well, Strategic Insurance. But before we do, I want to plug our sponsor here. We got a big shout out to Brothers Easy Moving. The official moving partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show is Brothers Easy Moving. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, they are a first-class organization. They did a great job personally moving me and my family to our new lake house. So I highly recommend Brothers Easy Moving. They did a great job on our move, and they will definitely help you out with yours, local or long distance, across the United States. Brothers Easy Moving, make them your first call, and only call. Gary Thacker is the man, the owner of the company. Great job. They do a great job, and highly recommend Brothers Easy Moving. And a couple of hot listings here. This one is one of my favorite listings, 861 Mandalay Avenue on Clearwater Beach. Now, this property is 200 steps from the sugar sand beaches of Clearwater Beach. Now, it's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath property, but there's also a 3rd bedroom in the back. It's got a really cool, very unique, like patio, outdoor hangout area, outdoor. You got electronics, TV, sitting areas, just a gorgeous, outdoor shower. So you come back from the beach, you go surfing, you're going out there hanging out, and you walk back to Mandalay Avenue, Clearwater Beach. It's 861. Now this property is priced under the comps. It's priced under the comparables, meaning the comps literally show it comping out at the comparables show it at 750, 725 range. Now, with this property, you're at reduced down to $595. So it's a great opportunity to purchase real estate property here in Tampa Bay. Beautiful property in Tampa, 861 Tampa Bay, Mandalay Avenue, Clearwater Beach. Check out all of our listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
All right, so we've got Mary Surnicki in the house, a plethora of information around roofing and different roofing systems and the contracting business as a whole. What are you seeing out there, Mary?
Well, it's funny. We're talking about the insurance. That's a big deal. We get a lot of customers that call us. They're like, hey, this contractor, they want us to sign this AOB, and they have questions and they have all kinds of stuff, and they can't get a hold of them, or they've signed an AOB with another contractor,
Assignment of benefits,
and they can't get a phone call back, and they've put a deposit down and they can't get a hold of these contractors again. That's why it's so important to have a contractor in the state of Florida that lives in the state of Florida, that is not from, especially after a storm, we get all of these companies that come in, and we call them storm chasers. They come in and they're here for 6 months and then they're gone. Or they open a branch, or they open a store for a year and they're gone. And there's no protection for that customer, and sometimes they might be able to give you a lower, it might cost maybe less a square, maybe $30 or $40 less than what a regular contractor in the state of Florida charges, but it's just not worth it. It's simply just not worth it. Through the hurricanes, we've seen all kinds of things. We're in there right away because, the roof is the most important part of the house. If you don't have a roof, if your roof is leaking, we're out there right after the storm. We're tarping, we're doing emergency repairs. We're doing the stuff that we have to do. And then there's sometimes that, if the roof is 25% more is damaged, the insurance company, you get a new roof. You know what I mean? So, but here's the thing. These insurance adjusters as well come in from all over the country. They're coming from Oklahoma, other places that do not see hurricanes, do not know what they're looking at with the hurricane.
Good point.
And so they're like, no, they're denying claims or doing a repair. I'm like, sir, we go out there and meet the adjuster with the homeowner. I'm like, there's like 50% of this roof. There's uplift on the bottom. These are the kinds of things. And we also have, in-house people that work with insurance companies that, we do the Xactimate, and that way we're giving line item by line item to your insurance company what they need to be able to process that claim correctly.
And that leads me to, our next point is sometimes you have to get attorney involved.
Yes.
Because they're still going to be hard-headed. They're going to protect their bottom line. That's one thing that sometimes happens in the insurance business. They're running a business as well, but unfortunately, sometimes they do it unethically, and there's situations where we have to get attorneys involved. We've got a lot of great attorneys associated with this show: real estate attorneys, family law, immigration, any type of attorney you need. We got access to them, and we've got the best ones here in the Bay Area. And if you just joined us, we're talking with Mary Surnicki, Suncoast Roofing, here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. You probably heard Chuck Peterson in the past as well on our program, and I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. But Mary, that's a big point. It does get to a point where it's like, okay, well, that's not making sense. What do we have to do? What's our next step?
Like, we're still processing roofs from Irma, that went to attorney. And sometimes to get a court date down in Lee County, it's 18 months. So we're literally just putting on roofs for these people that suffered through that hurricane. And it could be a whole neighborhood. They're all tile roofs. You know what I mean? And like you said earlier, there's like 15 people on a block that are getting roofs replaced, and then there's one that the insurance company said no. You know what I mean? And so we help in that process because, with a tile roof, once you have damage and you've punctured that, and you've punctured that underlayment, because there's not a lot of people in the state of Florida. I mean, we do tile roof repairs, but it's a very skilled, it's a skilled trade. It is not, you just don't want somebody to go up there walking on your tile roof.
Yeah, especially, you hear about tiles getting broken all the time from pressure washing companies that don't understand the dynamics of where to step, walking down the ridge lines, things of that nature.
Or it's a golf community and they have tile roofs. I'm like, how is this? Nobody thought this through. It's so silly, but these are things we go out and we're fixing, from golf balls.
And I'll just throw in an ad. We always feel that's where at our agency where it's so important to be an advocate for our client, because claims can be challenging and it can be hard at the best of times. And so the more people, to the whole point of this show, Brandon, that that the listeners have in their corner that are going to go to bat for them.
That's right.
And not just say, hey, good luck, I think is always a win.
Well, similar to that situation we had, there was a long story, a real estate deal closing. It was a townhouse on the water. The elevation was off from the previous closing and deal, and Doug and his team stepped in and made it just a smooth process. Stepped in as the expert and said, hey, here's what you need. Here's what the person from FEMA's not saying. The person that's, probably a great person, but they're just a salary, line worker, and they didn't understand. And Doug's an owner of his company, and he's personally responsible for this thing. So that we had to battle with FEMA somewhat on a deal to get the deal perfectly right so we could close the deal.
Absolutely.
And, the realtor's got thousands of dollars on it. The title company's got thousands of dollars of, there's these moving companies that have the buyer ready to go. The chain effect hits a lot of people with these situations. So that's why you want to have your experts.
And they just moved that FEMA that map,
they changed it again,
they changed it. So like in the city of Clearwater.
Let's talk about that when we come back. The FEMA maps changed, the flood maps changed. We're going to update you on that here. Doug Levi in the house, Mary Surnicki, Suncoast Roofing. Stay with us. We got our feel-good story as well about these malls that are opening up early for autism folks to see Santa Claus. Stay with us. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, I'm Ken Shamrock, and you're here with Consumer Quarterback Show. And I say, Brandon Rhymes, knock out your competition.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
Welcome back, Consumer Quarterback Show. Appreciate you spending some time with us here. We want to help you win as your consumer advocate every day. We're your 4 o'clock drive time program right here on AM 860. The Answer. We got a weekend show on FM 102.5 The Bone. You can find our TV show on Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and 85 other smart television outlets as well, just by searching Binge Networks. That's our network on those stations. We beam TV as well, and we want to help you win. That's our goal as your consumer advocate, making you more street smart here, and we don't care if you're climbing a corporate ladder or if you throw a ladder in your truck on the way to work. This show's for you. We're reaching a large audience here, and it's all about you as the listener. That's what makes it a little bit different than a lot of the other shows that you hear. Now, this segment is brought to you by the Bilmar Beach Resort here in Tampa Bay. The official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show is the Bilmar Beach Resort on beautiful Gulf Boulevard in Treasure Island, Florida. Beautiful property. They've got Sloppy Joe's Beach Bar and restaurant right on site. And there's so much to do as well. They've got an amenity feed where you get access to the watercrafts and all that fun stuff out there. 90% of the rooms face the open water in the Gulf of Mexico. They're beautiful property. Check out Clyde Smith. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Take them up on special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Make sure you book direct. Call Clyde Smith, Bilmar Beach Resort. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. They've also got the standing ovations going on over there, which is really cool, like 10-foot tall sand castles and all kinds of cool designs from world-class artists. So really cool opportunity. Bilmar Beach Resort on beautiful Treasure Island, Florida. All right, we're back here in the studio. We got Doug Levi in the house, Strategic Insurance, and Mary Surnicki as well, Suncoast Roofing. And we got an event coming up. I want to remind you, we're real heavy on supporting our veterans around here. So we've got the Wounded Warriors. We got an event coming up on Wednesday, January 8th, 7 o'clock at Florida Firearms Academy. Tickets available on eventbrite.com. And it's the Winner's Circle with Ken Shamrock, Antonio Tarver, and, of course, your host, Brandon Rhymes. We're going to be there. We're going to be interviewing Ken and Antonio, 2 world champion fighters. Ken's in the Hall of Fame for the UFC, WWF legend as well. And you've got Antonio Tarver, 5-time world boxing champion, from Tampa as well. So we're going to be there at Florida Firearms Academy, Wednesday, January 8th, 7 p.m. Buy your tickets now on eventbrite.com. Proceeds going to the Wounded Warriors. What better place to send them to, right? The Wounded Warriors. They served our country, and they helped us here, of course. So back here in the studio, our goal is to help you win. We got a couple of hot listings here that we are going to talk about here. 216 North Spring Boulevard in Tarpon Springs. This is a gorgeous property. The photography by Fabre Frameworks is absolutely amazing, capturing the beautiful views of Tarpon Springs, close to the water, walkability to downtown. 216 North Spring Boulevard. Gorgeous 2-story home. You got a large area down beneath as well on the lower level of this property that you could utilize as an office, a gym, a workout facility. Lots of upgrades throughout this beautiful home, and it's completely remodeled and turnkey, ready for you to move in. Beautiful wood flooring throughout, and it's got tile in the wet areas and bathrooms. Beautiful property. Check out all of our real estate listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.com. All right, let's go back to Doug Levi, and let's talk a little bit about FEMA. The flood insurance is a challenge for people. We see that happening throughout the case, and a lot of times we're jumping on conference calls trying to get deals done because there's a certain issue happening. Talk us through maybe a scenario
sure,
like that.
And I think the thing with FEMA is, you see things in the news and it gets put out and then it changes. Right. I mean, if we go back a year, it was, flood maps are changing, and then it constantly gets pushed back. So, a couple of things we always highlight when we kind of talk about flood insurance. There's more options than ever before. FEMA, flood insurance through FEMA, which is FEMA is the federal government. Traditionally, they have been the ones who back flood insurance. Now, that doesn't matter whether you've been with a company like State Farm or Nationwide or a handful of the Florida-based companies. It's all been underwritten, if you will, by FEMA. So the rates are the same with any carrier. That's the traditional marketplace as it's been. In the last few years, because of all the changes and things that have gone on, the private marketplace has come in, and that's increased competition. As we all know as consumers,
Love it.
The more competition, you get a few people competing for your business, prices tend to go down, right?
Got
It's
a button for that.
Very nice.
very nice. That's all right, right? I like it. There you go. I like it. Little Borat action there. So that's a good thing. So really, the probably the biggest takeaway that I would give to the consumers listening out there is, don't get all worried by the next headline in the Tampa Bay Times about, flood maps changing, because they're probably going to change a few more times before it finally comes into play.
Right.
And, give us a call and let us shop and make sure that what you've got right now, especially if you're in a flood zone and have flood insurance, is the best option.
Yeah.
Because it may not be. We may have a private market option that's actually going to save you some money over FEMA.
That's right.
We may be able to tweak a deductible or highlight a couple other things, or verify is the elevation certificate that's being used correct. Because flood insurance is definitely one of those things when you kind of dial down on it, it can get complex.
Yeah,
so
it really
it's really
does.
good to have again a consumer advocate in your corner. And one of the guys on my team has it's called an ANFI. It's a flood designation where he went. It'd be like a GRI, or there's some designations in real estate and different things where he went through additional training and additional classes to get certifications on just the flood insurance aspect of it.
Yeah.
So Tony, shout out to Tony on my team. I call him T, like Mr. T. He's great at really just pulling all the different levers, all the different bells and whistles to make sure that you're getting the absolute best rate, best option.
Yeah.
And I'll just share one other thing real quick. One of the things that we're able to do sometimes is go to the county and find an old map from the county, and sometimes that can help save you money. So that's kind of a little known, I don't want to say secret or trick, but it's in the guidelines of what you can do to get your best rates and best coverage. But it takes the time, legwork to find the person in the county who does it, and then get the historical map for that property.
Yeah.
And at times that can then help save you money.
Could be worth it, exactly.
Absolutely.
So TampaBayInsurance.com, Doug Levi, TampaBayInsurance.com. Now, Doug, one of the questions we get as realtors is, has the house ever flooded? I see that it's close to that lake. Proximity to water, it matters somewhat because of the velocity, the storm coming off of the Gulf. But generally speaking, it all comes down to that elevation certificate.
The elevation's huge, right? And so if we just make it very simple for the listeners out there, the elevation certificate, it's done by a surveyor or an engineer, where they come out to your property and they take measurements.
Yeah.
The most important one is they're going to look at and say, what is the base flood for this home? In other words, let's throw some numbers to it. It may be 10 feet.
Yep.
Well, that means, Army Corps of Engineers has come and said, hey, anything 10 feet and above, you're doing well, right? So if my house is built maybe at 11 feet or 11 and a half or 12, I'm doing really well. Well, if I'm below that 10-foot mark, that's where I'm not doing so well, right? And it could be that, maybe my home is an older home, and, codes and guidelines were different 50 years ago. And so the house was allowed to be built at 9 feet, where today the county would not allow that, right? So that's kind of where you see these horror stories, and they really are. And I feel so bad for some of these folks, where it's like, they don't know, and the next thing they've got a $10,000 flood bill because of really just a bad elevation. But probably the easiest way to look at it is saying, okay, what is the base flood in that area? What number is that? And then what height does my actual house sit at?
Yeah.
That's really the biggest determining factor in your rate.
Yeah, because that's when water's going to actually intrude into the home.
Exactly.
Coming through the doors or the windows. It's going to come through that way. And hopefully it never happens, but that's why we have insurance, right?
That's right, exactly.
Talk to me as well. You have other types of policies as well, where you have someone who's a busy, successful, let's say they own a landscaping company or they're a general contractor. They're kind of like the key man that's pulling a bunch of levers, making a lot of money. The licensing's on them. Talk to me about what they can do to protect their income should something were to,
great question. So, in our agency, we're independent, and we do all lines of insurance. So we do everything from your home and auto and flood and commercial insurance, which we're talking a lot about. We also do life and health insurance, and really the area that you're kind of hitting on would be disability income. So I'm a big believer in that. I myself have a few different policies, and I do own the agency. I do own the business, especially I think if you're a small business owner where you're not getting those corporate benefits, super important, right? And so the idea is that, and, probably I always think of marketing stuff, Aflac, they do a pretty good job of sort of, painting the picture what that looks like. A lot of times those Aflac policies are group policies. If your company's big enough, you could certainly look at administering a policy for the whole company. We do that as well. But if not, at the very end of the day, you'd want to at least look for an individual disability policy. And that's going to be a policy that comes in and it's going to replace your income in the event of you becoming disabled. And it could be really anything. It could be illness, injury. And so you really, in my opinion, that's protecting your income is a huge item, and strongly recommend all the listeners out there to either get your eyes on what you have through your either company or your business, and if not, look at doing an individual policy.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Going to protect you, guarantee some of that income if you were to get in a problem where you have a situation and things happen. I know you've told me some stories of different people you've had.
I've had a few. I mean, again, won't mention any names, but one gentleman was a business consultant that we worked closely with. Great guy. As part of a Christian roundtable group that we used to be a part of, and he got a really, really bad back injury. I'll kind of simplify it, but got a really, really bad back injury, and he hasn't been able to work for the last, I'm going to say 5 or 6 years. But fortunately, we took a disability policy out for him 2 or 3 years before it happened, and that's been providing for himself and his family for years. So it's definitely, again, all these things, it's the type of thing that you don't want to necessarily talk about or think about, but when you do it, you're going to walk away and feel a lot better knowing you're protected and knowing you're taking care of your loved ones, and that if God forbid something does happen, you're not scrambling. Yeah,
exactly. It's similar to estate planning, talking to your mom or grandma about,
that's right.
Hey, when you do pass, what do you want to happen?
Yeah, exactly.
It's that uncomfortable thing. We don't want to do it, but it's a necessary deal. By the way, we work with attorney Joe Pippin. He does a great job. Estate planning attorney Joe Pippin is awesome. He's on this channel. Matter of fact, he's got one of the longest running radio shows. I think he is the longest running radio show by any attorney or realtor, etc. Cool. But attorney Joe Pippin. So, hey, great stuff. Doug Levi, Strategic Insurance. We got Mary Surnicki coming up as well. And our feel-good story of the day on the other side of this break. Malls in the U.S. are opening early so kids with autism can visit Santa in a calm environment. Find out about that and our lightning round coming up here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. Ian Beck. listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
And we're back. Brandon Rhymes here, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, helping our sellers profit more on the sale of their real estate properties. This segment is brought to you by Taps Restaurant, the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. And I love going over to Taps. They're right there at the International Plaza, and it's on Bay Street there, International Plaza at Bay Street. Excellent food, very friendly staff, very courteous and friendly staff. The food is to die for, and the ambiance is awesome. You're walking, you got all the people walking by. So you've got the outdoor patio area as well. Dogs are welcome, so you can bring your furry friends to Taps Restaurant. It's a local gastropub. They have daily specials, drink specials as well. Taps Bar and Lounge right at the International Plaza at Bay Street. Now, if you walk in, just let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Take them up on special offers and incentives, and of course that free water with lemon that we always joke about. So we got Mary Surnicki in the house, Suncoast Roofing, Doug Levi, Strategic Insurance, and every day we're going to tell you something positive in our feel-good story of the day.
Tell me something good.
Okay, so during the busy holiday shopping season, malls can get crowded and loud, and to some kids, that can be overwhelming. So 2 organizations are teaming up to make visiting Santa at the mall a more pleasant experience. The nonprofit Autism Speaks, along with Cherry Hill programs, are holding Santa Cares days in the malls across the country. Malls will open early for these events, so it will be less busy and overwhelming. The lights will be dimmed and the music will be lowered, allowing children to visit Santa in a calmer setting. Santa himself is also trained on how to interact with special needs children. So pretty cool in our feel-good story of the day, catering to some of the folks and the kids that have autism and their families. I can imagine the challenges that comes along with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's great. Again, taking care of the least, the people that needed the most help. It's great.
That's right.
Least
Absolutely.
In need, most in need, I should say. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's our feel-good story of the day. I want to let you know about a hot listing I've got here up in Port Richey as well. 4348 Harbor Point Drive in Port Richey. This is a $2 million property, just under $2 million. Now, you've got direct bay access to the bay. You've got a bring your boat situation, beautiful boat dock, pool, 6,700 square feet. Beautiful property. You can throw all types of cool parties there. 4348 Harbor Point Drive, ultra high security as well. You got 2 security gates before you even get onto the street. There's 2 different guard gates to get through. And this property is outfitted with all of the highest upgrades. Beautiful property, 4348 Harbor Point Drive in Port Richey. See all of our listings at PlatinumMVPTeam.com.
Sun is shining, the weather is sweet.
All right, so let's go back to Mary Surnicki here, Suncoast Roofing. Now, we talked a little bit, kind of teased a little bit earlier in the show, talked a lot about, some of the things happening with FEMA. Thanks, Doug, for weighing in on that. What are you seeing when it comes to the contractors out there? It's something that we're always, warning people of, especially when it comes to the roof, the situation.
Yeah, it's so important to have a licensed contractor come out to your home and give you an estimate, a written estimate, and lays out a scope of work. Like that's so important. Just not somebody that gives you a price on just one sheet, or he's, and there's a lot of guys that do repairs and stuff like that out of their trucks and stuff like that. But what happens is if you let somebody on your roof, if they don't really are not a skilled craftsman, they could actually do way more damage, and it could actually cost you in the long run. When you're doing a $3,000 repair and this guy is like, well, I could do it today, I could do this, but maybe a re-roof is like $7,600. You know what I mean? So you could be putting that, that money to better use.
Yeah. And you see it happen a lot, especially when there's wind events, minor tropical storms, hurricanes.
Yeah.
That's when you see it happen. They come through and they look like the good guys because they've got the roof, the blue tarps, and they're going to tarp your roof and patch it up, and they only want half the deposit up front,
right?
Which sounds like a small amount, but it's $5,000.
I actually have a friend that owns another roofing company in the state of Florida, and they don't do tile roofs. So his best friend, they were over in Melbourne, and they actually had a hailstorm, and it lasted like 2 minutes, but it did tremendous amount of damage to some of these tile roofs.
Wow.
But time I had gotten there to do the estimate, because they called me, I booked the appointment, I went out, and There was already 6 storm chasers that have already knocked that door.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Because they have these apps that can tell you where the hail was or where the range is, the neighborhood,
Right.
and they target these people.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a scary situation when you have to get something fixed. You know, you're trusting the person that's in front of you. That's why you need to make sure that, you know, that their truck looks like a company truck, that they're, you know, all of our guys wear Suncoast roofing shirts and, you know, they're in our vehicles and, you know, with our license number plastered everywhere, you know, because it's so important.
Yeah, we had Fred Muth on the show last week. He said one time he met a contractor, handed him his business card. It was his license number on the guy's business card. So they don't care. They pull it off the web. They find it anywhere. You know,
Man,
there's a lot of
nothing
fraudulent, as we
surprises you.
mentioned, with, you know, Florida having the highest insurance rates in the United States. Doug mentioned, you know, there's a ton of fraud out there. So what do we look for specifically then? When those people come up, don't give them like a 50% deposit, right? That's too much.
Absolutely. So like for Suncoast Roofing, when we come out, we ask for a deposit, but we're asking for like $500. You know what I mean? And that's the permitting. That's that. It's a good faith. You know what I mean? And then the balance is due upon completion. So unless you have a roof that's like maybe over 60 squares and it's tile, then we'll ask for, you know, maybe 30% when the day we start the job, that material is dropped, our guys are tearing off your roof, we'll ask for it then. You know what I mean? Because that pays for the material and all of the stuff that we need to be able to do the job.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes our jobs, you know, a tile roof could take us 2 weeks.
It keeps you even, you know, it keeps you
It
pretty
does.
close to even. That's where when you hear problems, and I talk to a lot of people about real estate and construction and, oh, we built this house for, you know, when you get ahead of the contractor and you have them paid, it's going to be hard to get them back. You know, I don't care if it's a painting contractor, electrical contractor. If you get them paid off fully, good luck getting them back to the house to finish the job. In a lot of cases, there's a lot of great contractors out there as well.
There are.
I have to preface that here, but you see it happen a lot.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And that's why it's so important that, you know, you take a few extra steps and make sure, you know, do they have an ad on the yellow pages? I know that seems like but a lot of big companies do, you know, license people. If they just have a Facebook, that's probably, if they don't have a real website, you know, kind of thing. Those are all things. It doesn't take that. We all have smartphones. Just look it up really quick. You can go right on and check the license number right through the state of Florida.
Google the person's name.
Yeah.
I mean, people do that to me all the time. Yeah. All right, let's jump into our lightning round here.
The lightning round!
I am so good at lightning rounds!
I majored in lightning rounds.
All right, here we go. Top tips, nuggets of advice, parting words of wisdom. Let's go, ladies first. Mary Surnicki, Suncoast Roofing.
Definitely this time of year is a great time to get your roof checked. You know, hurricane season, even though we're not in it right now, once the rains start, you know, in April and May, you know, all roofing companies get pretty busy. So it's a great time for us to come out. We do a free estimate. We'll come out and tell you what you need. You know, that way you have a plan for the next 6 months.
Yeah, free roof inspection, Suncoast Roofing. Reach out to Mary Surnicki, suncoastroofing.net, right?
.net, yes.
Awesome. Doug Levi.
We talked at the beginning of the show, Brandon, this time of year where people buying a lot of jewelry and other items, whether it could be guns, different things like that. Make sure it's properly insured. We recommend a floater. They're called an insurance floater. Great way to make sure what you bought your loved one is properly insured and you don't get hit with a surprise if something goes wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. It's important. In this time of year as well, let's talk about a value check on your home, you know, a free comparable market analysis. If you want to know basically the same thing you pay an appraiser $400 or $500 for, we'll do it for you as a consumer quarterback show outreach PSA type here. So we're going to offer you a comparable market analysis, a free appraisal on your home. Just simply reach out 813-670-7372, and you can text roofing, you can text insurance, of course, value on your home, CMA. Text to our hotline right now, and we're going to put you in touch with our expert contributors, 80 plus categories of consumer advocate advice and content here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. So text to 813-670-7372 or consumerqb.com. You can submit an email form there from our website, consumerqb.com. All right, we got about a half a minute left. Give me something else. Give me some top tips. Anything else come to mind, Mary or Doug?
Another thing too is when you're talking about roofing and you have a roof repair, have somebody that, you know, that really knows what they're doing. You know what I mean? Because sometimes these roofing companies have these guys that come right off the street. Oh yeah, I could do this, I could do that. Ask questions. If they can't answer your questions, don't let them on your home.
Yeah.
Don't let them on your property.
It's important. You got to be
deal.
diligent as a consumer of the day. I want to thank our expert contributors, Doug Levi, Mary Surnicki, in studio today. Awesome job. Thanks to our listeners, our team behind the scenes putting the show together, our producers, and thanks to you out there listening and viewing and interacting with us. We really appreciate that. ConsumerQB.com is your resource, and we want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Donate some blood, volunteer, swing a hammer for Habitat for Humanity. Lots of things you can do to be a force for good in the community. We'll see you next time. Consumer Quarterback Show, ConsumerQB.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time for the Consumer Quarterback Show.